throws these softball-sized rocks about 200 feet. Today I'm going to show you how I built it. Alright. So for the frame, the first thing I did was, first of all, I built these on the ground. Obviously I wasn't going to set them standing up and screw stuff in because I built these by myself and that would be a nightmare. So what I did was I took a 10-foot log here on the ground and I made like a T with this other 10-foot log. I screwed that in from the bottom, etc. And then I took these two pieces here and here, which are about 11-ish or so feet. You can do a little bit of trigonometry to figure out how long those need to be. And I just made a triangle. Then the next thing I did was this 5-foot piece here on the ground. I set that upright and I made some brackets out of 2x4s. I screwed those in so that was sticking straight up where the two 10-feet logs meet. And then I put this one in right at the apex of the triangle down to the end of this 5-foot piece, and I screwed that together. So when it was done, I had this triangle piece and then this extra support that juts out the side. And obviously I did that twice to make the other one on the other side. Now to fasten the two pieces together, from this support to this support through here, it's about 2 feet. So I cut some 2-feet logs and I laid them down in between the base here at the front and the back and in the middle, and then I just screwed that together so that they're all together. As far as this piece here, its counterpart on the other side, that was really meant to be an extra support just to kind of help hold things together. But what I found is that it's kind of inconvenient to have the ladder up in everywhere. So having this here, you can actually stand on this, and it really helped with working with stuff at the top and a lot of screwing that went on. So it was a big benefit. If you notice here from the front, I kind of made a floor at the bottom of the trebuchet, and then I put 2 pieces of plywood on angles so that when the sling is riding up, it doesn't just flop around, in the grass, and it gives it a good track to go up. You can see I have a car axle that I got at a recycling yard to be kind of the axle for the throwing arm, and it works pretty well. The previous axle that I had was really skinny, and so it bent the first time I tried to shoot the trebuchet, but the car axle holds up wonderfully. Up here at the top, you can see I got some brackets that I screwed in to the top with washers, and these hold the car axle, and then how the throwing arm is connected, if you can see, the axle just goes directly through. And drilling that hole was really the hardest part of building the trebuchet. It was a 1.5-inch butterfly drill bit, and since I'm way out here in the middle of the field, I didn't have a power cord that could reach out here, so I had to do it all with batteries. So if you're going to do this, I recommend that you get a lot of the holes drilled with corded power tools, otherwise it's going to take forever. Alright, so this here is the counterweight, just connected to the throwing arm down pretty close to the bottom. Essentially just a wooden box that I built out of plywood and 2x4s. I like just scrap what I had lying around. And I got another car axle, you can see, that I cut with my grinder down to size so it would fit. And that just went right through the throwing arm as well. And then it goes into these holes on the sides that I drilled. There's another one over there. And I just keep that on with a piece of particle ply that I screwed onto the side. Alright, now to load the trebuchet, I built this crank system here. I drilled some holes through this solid piece of steel pipe, and I just put a rope through it like so, tied it off. Then at the end of this long line, we got a hook, and at the top, if you can see, right at the top there's a little hook this here hooks onto, and then you can use the crank. You can see here I drilled some holes, and I got a piece of rebar that I just jab in there and crank it down, and it winds the rope up around the bar. As you can see now, I got the hook up there in the loading process. To do so, I use this very technical long stick with, sticky stuff at the top. And I stand on that support I told you about, and I'm just tall enough to shimmy the loop over the hook at the top. Alright, now this is just a hand winch that I made out of a pipe and some rebar, and I'll just wind this up. It pulls the rope, which in turn brings down the top of the trebuchet. Alright, now this is pretty much the most technical part of the loading process, which is the trigger. So in order to make this shoot off, what I got here is a bolt that I just cut the head off with my grinder, and I just screwed it into the side here. And then I have this link of chain type thing that I just tied some paracord to. And this piece here, it just goes down and it's wrapped into this board down here with a screw. And then I just slip this chain link over the bolt like that. And that tightens up, and then this here starts to take the weight. And I can unwind a little bit until this gets loose, and then this comes off. Now we're all done with the winch. Rebar is sometimes a little bit hard to get out. But alright, now we're on to the actual sling. And so I have the bolt here in the end that I wrapped the paracord around, tied it off, and then I have that's tied to the sling, which is tied to another piece of paracord. I got this pin at the top, and this pin just hooks into this other bolt that I screwed into the side of the throwing arm. Now, this piece that attaches to the back here is a little bit longer than this piece that unhooks. So when the arm is up in the air, this piece gets taut first, and so there's a lot of pressure and force that pulls on this string here. So that'll disengage the pin, and that's how the sling becomes undone and actually throws the rock. So now to load up, the sling comes under here. Oh dude, that's broken. And I have some rocks about the size of a softball. I spray painted them orange so they're easier to find in the green field. And this just comes back and sits in here like this. Alright, so now I'm ready to fire the trebuchet. It's all loaded up. I got the rock in the sling and I got the trigger on. So this piece of paracord is just connected to the trigger. I wrapped it around my hand because it's a little bit hard to... Yep. And then to fire the trebuchet, I'll just pull the string. It'll pull the chain off the bolt. And then nothing will be holding the trebuchet down, and it'll just fly up. So here goes. This cost me about $50 to make. I had to buy the car axles from the recycling yard and some screws. This is assuming you already have like a drill, an impact, a grinder, and a chainsaw. I saved money on the frame by just cutting down trees in my woods to build the frame out of. This was my first attempt at launching. It worked decently well. Unfortunately, the original cross piece that I had for the throwing arm bent terribly, and it shot the rock about 50 feet backwards, which wasn't quite what I was going for. So after this, I had to make some serious repairs in order to get it ready for round 2. this is round 2. It was my first successful shot. The rock went about 150 feet or so forward, and it was really kind of cool to see this thing work. So yeah, that's how I built the Trebuchet. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comments and I'll try to get back to you. Thanks for watching.